soundbite. There's somebody that sounds just like her.
Really?
Yes.
Hopefully it'll be gone by tomorrow.
Yeah. One would hope.
Yeah. Okay, let's call the meeting to order.
You probably need to do a roll call, Mary, since he's on the line.
Okay.
If and when you guys do a motion.
Okay, it's like 5:36, call meeting to order. We're gonna do a roll call.
No, that's
No.
when you actually vote on something.
Okay, because at the district meetings, we do a roll call right at
Well,
the
you
beginning.
can, you can.
Okay.
Put Curtis on the record.
Okay. Curtis, are you here?
I am here, I am Curtis.
All right, Curtis, Bill, Mary, Gordon.
I'm Martha.
Okay, yeah. So, we'll go right to select board minutes. Anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the July 19th minutes.
Okay, anybody second?
I can do that. I'll second it.
Any
Thought
dis-
maybe Curtis wanted to, but no.
Oh, any discussion? Curtis, do you want to say anything about the minutes? No, no discussion. Anybody?
Minutes are great.
Okay, we're all in agreement. And so then we're gonna talk about the orders. Anybody wanna make a motion to accept the accounts payable through today?
I'll make a motion to accept the warrants up to August the 2nd as presented.
Curtis, would you like to second that?
I'm happy to, I second it.
Thank you. Any questions about them? Curtis, do you have any questions? Curtis, you're a little casual today. A little too relaxed. No, I don't even mean that.
Hey,
Like-
where's your necktie?
Yeah, where is it?
In my suitcase, and decided to leave it there.
Okay. Casual in your
Gosh.
tone.
Dave, you have some items marked old year. So do they show up in the new year books, or are they really just entries to the old?
It's a prior year entry.
Okay. Good. That's the only question I had.
I don't have any. Gordon?
No, I didn't have any questions. Seemed all pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Curtis doesn't have any. So I think we are all in agreement to accept those. Let's see, public comments. Does anybody from the public have anything they want to comment on? No? Okay. And we'll go on to new business. First one, agenda item under new business is town property use agreement with the school.
So this is this is an agreement that we have seen before. We saw it before though, however, in executive session. I have spoken to the school. After some conversation, they seem to be, not 100% guaranteed, but talking with Nikki Buck, they seem to be okay with this. The one thing that she wanted me to convey, originally she wanted to, right now this is essentially a 5-year agreement. She wanted to make a 1-year agreement. However, under the terms, this can be terminated within 30 days with no cause by either party. So either party can back out of this in 30 days. So I pointed that out to her. She said, okay, it's fine with 5-year terms. We'll keep it as it is. The only thing she wanted me to convey is that, we have offered this parcel to them for basically $1. She said that they would like to take some time and look into some sort of alternative ownership, whether it be like a land trust type thing or, something that, lifts it, puts it more towards them, but not directly in their hands. Their concern is if they take ownership of this property and there is consolidation within the schools, that becomes consolidated school property and not Hartland Elementary School property. So that's why they're not, at the end of the, what's that?
That's pretty important.
Yeah, that is.
So at the end of the day, they said, we're, as why they're not interested in taking total ownership at this point in time. They just don't know what's gonna happen coming down the pike. So, if there was something, but, you know, not quite, you know, in the deed to them, then they would pursue that, and they're hoping to maybe take a year and look into if there's any alternatives. Not sure what may be out there, but, you know, they can give them a chance to look and come up with something different. Otherwise, I think they're relatively comfortable with the agreement.
The other thing that came to mind, me, is that they're only using a portion of the property. And it's possible that the Conservation Commission has ideas about what they might do with the rest of the property. They may have something in mind,
Yeah.
trail or, I don't know what's, I haven't explored that property, but maybe something more of interest that, yeah, that they would want to hang on to
Yeah.
as part of the town.
It's possible, it's, you know, again, Rob Vandereg was kind of a part of that conversation. He said he would work with the school board or work with the town board, whichever
Yeah.
one. You know, I don't know exactly their plans, but, this pertains to, you know, obviously the school use and any future use by the school. They need to come to the select board and ask permission for that use. And, you know, it may alter, we may need to rewrite this agreement, but, you know, at the moment it covers their use. And, you know, I think that, you know, we're more comfortable maybe than they are, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think it does what we wanted it to do, which was for them to recognize, you know, inherent dangers of bringing children into the, you know, forest to sit for an extended period of time. And, you know, this outlines it pretty clearly and simply, and, you know, that's about it.
I don't remember reading anywhere that it excludes the town to develop their own trails. It really,
No.
it's really directed at the school using and what their use. And it's actually vague as to where they use it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, Gordon, that's,
Yeah,
That's
but
good.
I'm just saying if the school owned it,
Right.
and the Conservation
yeah.
Commission is really part of the town, not the school.
right,
It
Right.
might be awkward to have them want to do something down there if, and especially if it turned into a property that belonged to the school district, or that is.
yeah,
Right.
That sounds like kind of a,
good. I found myself starting,
Red flag.
oh, excuse me.
go ahead, I'm done.
You know, ready to write some notes, and I realized, I refer to it as 17-acre wood, and this document doesn't refer to it at all. It's the Davis property as listed on such and such in the town books. So should our motion really be
The Davis
the
property.
Davis property, also known as
Yeah,
17-acre wood?
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, I think Gordon's got a really good point that maybe it'd be in the best future of the town to keep it. Because, yeah, who knows what's gonna happen between school consolidation and then just Conservation Commission or somebody else wanting to use it.
Sure, but I would go back to what Dave had sort of told Mickey, that we have the right within 30 days to cancel the school out, as long as we still own the property
Yeah.
and it doesn't revert to.
Well, I mean, I think we're all good with having the school use it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's exciting.
It's a really, really
using
good
it.
thing, and
Yeah,
And I'm looking forward to, I hope they figure out how to get their ramp built or a way to get kids with a handicap down there, because I'm sure they'll have some of them,
yeah, I know,
and that would be really good.
They don't have that now?
they, a member of the Conservation Commission, Guy Crosby, has taken, and a few others have gotten estimates, and I think the school may have gotten an estimate for a ramp, but there's no ramp per se.
Okay. So, are we ready for a motion?
Yeah,
Need to make a
I
motion?
mean, I'll make a motion that we accept the town property use agreement for the Davis property, also known as the 17-acre wood property. I'm not sure if we need to throw a date in there at all.
With the school, did you say that? Oh, the Hartland Elementary.
Bill, I think you just need the town property use agreement between the school and the town pertaining to the Davis property, otherwise known as the 17-acre wood. I think we'll be fine.
Did you get that all written down, Phil? You're doing double duty over there.
He's working hard.
Turning the screws
Yeah, I know.
from a distance.
Right, he's sitting pretty out there, very casual. Do you want to second that, Curtis?
I'm on board, I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion? Curtis, do you have anything to discuss? No.
Nope, it's got the indemnification language in there, and we can change it whenever we want. Looks good.
Okay, thank you. So,
Let me read back the motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the town property use agreement between the school and the town concerning the property known as the Davis property, also known as 17-acre wood.
I guess so, yeah, I mean, the school is kind of vague, but, maybe, you know, it could be
Between
Hartland
the
Elementary
Hartland School
School.
District?
No, Hartland Elementary School, right?
It says Hartland School District.
Does it?
One of the same.
Is it?
Okay.
It is one of the same.
Okay.
You can, Hartland School District would probably be more correct.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected with this correction. So I think we're all in agreement. Motion passes. Then we're going to number 2 under new business, building ordinance adoption.
You good, Bill? Good to go.
Yes, thank you.
So, September 21st, we spent at least 45 minutes discussing this ordinance, of which the select board accepted the ordinance as written. What we did is we held off on actually statutorily adopting it until a later time. Most importantly, we were waiting for, to see if the budget would pass for the administrator, or the administration position to go along with this. My fear was to have an ordinance, but no position. So this did go through town meeting. We do have funding for the position. And I'm closing in, or am pretty far along on the hiring of that position. So really, it's kind of a balancing act here between, you know, getting that person in, and the 60-day period of time between when you adopt it and when it actually officially, you know, can take effect. There are some components to this that will need to go along with it, such as the application for this, and you know, there'll be some grandfathering that will need to take place. Those details will need to be worked out. So this will remain the slowest moving ordinance ever to be enacted in the state of Vermont, but it certainly is getting there, and it is taking shape, and I think that, you know, the pace of this has been good, and, you know, I think that, we've been able to, more or less get comfortable with it, I think. However, we are at a point where I believe that, we do need to adopt this so that, you know, when I do get a person in, when we start working on this, we know that it's an actual working document that we're gonna be working on. So I brought it forth at this point for the adoption. And again, there will be 2 more pieces still yet to come down the pike to go on with this. But to put this in motion is what I'm looking for at this point.
Okay. Dave, are you, I understand adopting the ordinance and why we waited and so on and so forth, but would you like us to work on setting a fee in a separate motion tonight, or are you suggesting that we wait until we have the application written?
Yeah, I think that the fee will come down the pike a little bit. I think that once we get a person in place, we'll, you know, I think that you know, that person having input on the application and this grandfathering, you know, that we'll need to do.
Yeah,
I think, that position should be a part of that, so I think that you'll see, some additional steps. You know, when the permit gets written, then the permit fee can be enacted at that point. You know, everything, I'm just gonna throw a number out, you know, if you're interested, but, you know, in discussions with the permit, and this ordinance, the discussion has been to keep that
well,
low,
right.
and keep the application
Yeah.
process friendly. What we really want is people to come in and, you know, tell us that they're building, is what this is all about. So, that's what the plan would be. Looking back at, even the September 21st meeting and, some of my notes before, I think I personally had thrown out $10 amount.
Right.
But, you know, that was
Yeah.
the process, and, you know, that'll be a step.
Great, and I think we also spent a lot of time spelling out the penalties, and that's clearly written out in this ordinance. So the penalties we would be including tonight, which I'm comfortable with. Yeah.
And we spent a fair amount of time talking about that on September
Yeah.
21st. That took up quite a bit of the conversation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Dave, you mentioned 60 days. I thought it was 30 or 40 days.
60 days between tonight, if you were to enact it, and when it actually statutorily takes effect.
Yeah, I'll say it again, I thought that was 30 days or 40 days, between 30 and 40 days.
So someone can petition up to 44 days.
Okay.
But it takes effect, and I believe in the ordinance itself,
I read that 60
ordinance shall
days
become
somewhere.
effect 60 days after adoption by the town of Hartland Selectboard.
Okay,
If a
because it's,
petition is filed, that statute shall govern the taking effect of this.
okay. Because you've got it written in here. All right. And I have one more question.
Yep.
I have no idea what a waiver fee is.
Yeah, what is that?
So we
We went around the block on that one.
we talked
too.
quite a bit about this on the
Yeah.
21st. So the waiver fee is, so the penalty is $150, $100 for the
$100.
first, $100 for the first offense. If someone does not contest it and simply walks into the judicial bureau, they can pay $60 and it all goes away.
Instead of,
If they contest it and they lose, they owe $100.
Gordon and Mary, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the fact that that was such a part of our last discussion, and it still is here.
Right, it's still confusing, absolutely.
If it's not defined in that, and you have to explain it to people, shouldn't it be defined in this?
I don't know how much more defined. Waiver fee $60, civil penalty $100. It is written on your speeding ticket, of which you probably do not know, and you have that ability when you get a speeding ticket.
Okay, let me just tell you, I've been driving since I was 18.
Okay?
I'm 65. I've never had a speeding ticket.
No, come on.
So I've never seen that little
Calm
fine
down,
print.
can you please,
Never had a speeding
I
ticket.
saw her driving quickly today.
But she did say that she's never been stopped.
there's a difference.
The only,
Mary, you can't
you're
get
right,
on
you're
that
right. I was stopped maybe 4 years ago and I started laughing when the police officer, I said, sure, give me a ticket, my kids will love it. And he didn't.
Didn't give it to you.
No,
It's all right.
it's kind of disappointing. So anyway, okay, Dave, you feel that that is adequately defined?
I do.
All right.
I still, when I read this, even though I know we discussed it to great lengths, as Curtis says, I had no idea what this was supposed to mean. So it's instead of, that's what a waiver is.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I I think what'll happen is all these people are scofflaws and they're stopped all the time and given tickets. They'll understand this right away. It's, right? It's those of us who aren't ticketed constantly that don't understand it. Okay, well, let's move on.
So we're gonna discuss all this, the details of this later, right? Things like the fee and so forth.
That will, more to come, correct?
Yeah, so we don't have to talk
No.
about that now.
Well,
Okay.
I think the ordinance spells out what we want to have present on the application. It talks about the fees, it talks why, the 4 points of why we're doing it. So I think it's, Gordon, I'm not sure what
Oh.
you're thinking.
He's got his hand up.
Okay, just got his hand up. Yes?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, I just thought of something. If we do this as is, and we want to, and 10 years goes by, we want to increase the penalty to keep up with new costs, we'll have to approve an amendment to the ordinance, and then we'll have to do the same newspaper thing, blah, blah, blah. Is it possible at all to build in like yearly inflationary adjustments so we don't have to go through the whole process again? Or would that just be annoying at this point in time?
So no, Curtis, the ordinance spells out that the select board has the ability to revise from time to time the fee schedule. And you can, if you so choose to put something new into the application or take something out, you have the ability to do that as well.
Yeah, but that is for the application fee. Is that for the violation, the civil penalty? We can revise that from time to time as well.
So if you want to change the fee, the actual penalty fees, you would need to go back and amend the ordinance. In that,
Right.
Yep, and there is a
Process.
same process.
So what I'm asking is, would it be worthwhile at all now or not to maybe just build in cost of adjustment for inflation costs, so that we don't have to go through that process again?
It's a legal question, Curtis. I'd have to find out.
Okay. If it's too much hassle, then it's too much hassle, and that's okay. It just occurred to me that if we could build in some automatic adjustment, then we wouldn't have to go through the amendment process.
At the moment, Curtis, unless the statute differs, I feel comfortable with the structuring, because if it goes over $800, it kicks it in out of the judicial court and into criminal court. So if there's a third violation and it adds up, or any sum of the penalties adds up to be greater than 800, then it kind of kicks it over. So right now you've got a first, second, and third offense, and that equals $800. So I'm fairly comfortable.
Our inflationary adjustment is we take it from civil court to criminal court. Okay, that's fine, Dave. If you're fine with it, I'm fine with that structure. Like we said, in September, we indicated that we wanted to go forward with this, and I'm totally fine going forward with it exactly as we thought in September.
Let me clarify or ask for clarification on what Gordon was bringing up on the timing. So if we sign this, it can go into effect within 60 days, but we also have to publish it in 5 places and in the paper of record in the Valley News. And if we publish it within the Valley News, we have to wait. If 5% of the voting population within 44 days petitions, then we hold a hearing.
Go hold a town meeting, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and it wouldn't happen in 60 days if that happens.
then it's 104 days or something.
So the 44, so you have 14 days to put this into the Valley News.
To get it posted.
So then
Okay.
30 days after that would be 44, so hence kind of the 44. 44 is kind of an odd number, but
Yeah, Okay.
And then, and then after 44 days, if nothing's been submitted by then, you move forward, but it takes effect after 60 days of actually
Right.
doing this, so.
And the example that you gave us in the packet does demonstrate that we don't have to publish the whole ordinance, that we just have to get the gist of it.
A concise summary. Now, what a concise summary is, I'm not, I'll be spending tomorrow understanding a concise summary, but
Okay.
that may mean, stating that they can come in and read it here or see the website, but still trying to figure out what a concise summary is. So I'm hoping to do a concise summary rather than the entire thing,
Right.
but we'll see.
I can imagine it would be like 2-point font if you did the entire thing.
That would be like a $2,500 bill, but
Right.
take your pick.
So, can this person, let's say you find someone and you wanna hire that person, can that person start before this takes effect?
So I've given that some thought, and my answer would still be yes, I would still hire this person. Simply because, if you remember the list that I put up during town meeting of the 8 other things that need to be kind of coincide with this job position, what I think I would end up doing, and it may take more work, but, we would just need to dig deeper for the information that a building permit would give us. And try and come up with that information, because the other part of this position I'm truly interested is not only the ordinances that we have in effect, such as the junk ordinance or the illegal burning ordinance or some of that stuff that sorely needs to be addressed at some point, but there's kind of a planning component that we really have no idea where development is occurring, or how that affects, or even if it mimics what we think the town plan thinks it does. Whether the fire suppression assets, coincide with where the development is occurring. Does it, where, bills, maintenance and future maintenance, basically, trying to build a database of, all of the above, and try and start do pieces together mapping. In other parts of this, so there's multi-pieces to this. The building ordinance certainly is the backbone to this, but, without it, I would say that, we are deficient. But there's 911 numbering, that certainly needs to happen. There is, floodplain bylaw that needs to be rewritten and somewhat enforced. There's still, I think, the correspondence that needs to happen between the town and the state on wastewater and other problems. So I think the answer is a yes, although, I would say a little bit of a wounded duck without the ordinance in place. And I can't stress the importance of having this ordinance in place.
Yeah, we have, as of an accepted budget from
Yeah.
town meeting,
Yeah.
we have the go-ahead to hire this person
Yeah.
with or without this, isn't that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I think, I'm just thinking that if someone or a group of people who want to petition to not do this, the thing that's bothering them probably is the hiring of another employee.
Mhm.
That's gonna happen anyways.
We've got issues enough that certainly
So
needs to be dealt with.
maybe that's a good thing.
Sure. And I think also, if there's a good faith component that if we approve this tonight, we in good faith feel it's going forward and the hiring therefore could fall into place.
Mhm.
And then as well as the fact that the budget is already in place.
Yeah, I don't have any reason to think there's gonna be a petition.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about a $10 fee. That can be waived.
I don't know how many people are very surprised at some of the personalities that have communicated to me, that are in the building trade, how they foresee a town situated with nothing in the Upper Valley with the boom that's going on right now, and what's going on. They just, we're just kind of sitting.
So
So,
I remain shocked at how many new driveways have gone in that I know of with no
Yeah.
culverts or anything, so.
and if anybody doesn't understand this, please give me a call, because in my mind, this is truly the best of both worlds, because we're not asking where how you're gonna build it, we're not telling you where it's gonna be built, we don't wanna tell you, you can or can't put the fence up.
Yeah.
We just wanna know that there's a structure going in there. Certainly, there's a tax implication to that, which is, one of the impetuses for this, equality for people paying taxes and everybody's pick up their fair share. But again, not knowing exactly, we have a hunch, we drive by something and we're kind of like, oh, look at that. The listers pick something up, but what we're not doing is we're not taking a look at where this is occurring, how it's affecting the town, how it's affecting the 911. John Sanders was a big part of this, and spoke, passionately about our need to understand this in order to, respond from an emergency perspective. So there's just internally a whole lot of reasons why we need to know this information, just to provide the services that people count on us to provide.
Yeah, I did have a funny question for Stacy, as I was drinking too much coffee this morning and reading all this stuff. But if someone were to construct a tower, which is, let's say, 50 feet tall, and for communications of some sort, that's really not, you don't care about that. With
Are you
this.
talking like a cell tower?
Well,
Something along those lines?
something along those lines. I'm thinking just the private sector for the radio operators and so on and so forth.
From a tax perspective, we might wanna know, because that has potentially market value. And it depends on what it is. If it's like a cell tower where they're leasing out space on it and they're getting income derived from it,
Mhm. Okay.
Well,
that
then
would be a
it used to
utility
be,
other potentially.
used to be ham radio operators.
That's what I
But I
had in
don't
mind
think there's any of
specifically.
them around now. There are a few, I think.
Then,
but-
There are some, yeah.
Yeah.
and then that might be personal property, so it depends on what it is and how they're using it.
Okay. I was thinking about it too much, so I'm not gonna worry.
So do we have a motion to adopt the building ordinance?
I could do that. So I would move that we adopt the Town of Hartland construction permit ordinance. I guess that's probably all we need. Is that all we need, isn't it?
Sounds good to me.
Curtis? Can,
Mary, do you want to?
I want you to second that, if you would, if you agreed to it.
Well, I'm just thinking that, maybe the old timers better to say yes to this than the newcomer.
Oh, there's some reluctance.
So you can second it.
No, I'm totally fine with it.
Okay, I'll second. I'm an old timer.
Without speeding tickets?
Is there any more discussion?
Wow.
So we have a motion to adopt the Town of Hartland construction permit ordinance that Gordon made and seconded by Mary.
No more discussion? The motion carries. Thank you. Oh, all right, do you have the other one, the 17 acre? For me to
I
sign?
do, but that one, provided that Martin will stick around afterwards to be a notary, needs a notary. Martin, can you stick around afterwards to be a notary?
Absolutely.
Curtis, you can come in and sign this, if you'd like. When you back?
On Monday. Next Monday next.
Yeah, okay.
That one's confusing. Second page is the school.
Right, so, but I'm wondering if I have to fill this part out, or if, or
I
Martin
think that's Martin.
all does this.
Yeah, I think that part's there. Yeah, you could, you know, it's just the date and stuff, and you can fill it out. You can fill it out
Okay.
here.
Okay.
I need my pen back.
Oh, sorry. I don't know which one is yours.
The dark one is mine.
What did you say?
You're about to say
Yeah,
it.
I will. So, number 3 under new business is the issuance of warrant to impound unlicensed dogs or wolf hybrids according to Vermont state statute.
So,
That's what James is here.
so this is, this more or less has come to you every year for probably the last 150 years. This was kind of a, you know, an automatic from Brian going through the records and things that we should be signing. So the reality is that you may, this is a step that you can take. I'll just point out that we do have an ordinance that has been adopted by the select board. And that ordinance simply allows James or the animal control officer to impound dogs for like 6 or 7 specific reasons. You know, if it bites somebody, if you fear that it has rabies, it's being a nuisance, there's 6 or 7 things laid out, and that is already in place. What this does is allows or the select board delegates to James the ability to proactively knock on somebody's door, that unlicensed dog, and to threaten to impound them because they're unlicensed. So it is kind of a proactive step above and beyond what we have, you know, as far as an ordinance. Again, this statute dates back to the beginning of time. In doing a little research with Brian, I think that if you didn't delegate this, it's a select board responsibility. I think that's where this kind of comes into play, in that the delegate to a policeman or a constable, et cetera. I think there's a history on this. We've got it on the agenda. We've never truly proactively done it, but I would recommend that you sign it, and then next year we can, I'm not sure we need to take this step, truthfully, but maybe we can discuss if you want to take that step or not next year, but
To have this?
to sign this, it's kind of a, we've got most of what we have in place through the ordinance. James is here, if he sees any other proactive reason, then, you know, I'll take his word for it, and I'll say absolutely that we should do this every year, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
It's usually a good final push to get these people to register their animals.
Well, what happens? I mean, are they gonna, all these people on the list, are they gonna be notified or something, or?
Yeah, I go through the list and I start making phone calls.
Oh, you do?
I let them know that
Oh, good.
I have a warrant from the town
Oh, okay,
to
great.
to impound their animal. And that generally is now the push for them to actually come down to the town office and do something.
Oh, good. I mean, all those beagles on here, whatever, foxhounds, they're gone, right? I think that whole thing closed.
I think so,
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a bunch that you won't have to deal with.
but still, they still need to notify the town
Oh, they're,
that they're no longer in town.
oh, okay. And then there's one on here, my neighbor's dog is dead. And then there's another one, another neighbor whose dogs are pretty aggressive, so I think it's great if you're gonna call people. Because if they've got aggressive dogs, they should at least be licensed.
James, do you know how many dogs there are on the list total?
Yeah, it says 127.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's just under 150.
Yeah, but I mean, these are the untagged ones, it says.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how many,
How many are licensed, do you know?
Oh, our license, I don't remember.
Mm.
It's several hundred.
Oh. Mine are licensed, FYI.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I look for my name on here, just to make sure.
I don't have a dog.
So I'm glad, James, you spoke up. If, you know, if the board's comfortable with that, we'll continue to do this, year after year. It was just, you know, Brian and I were kind of like, you know, but, you know, that
No, I think that we need,
provides some insight.
I think we need to do this.
I do too.
We never have gone the next step of actually, and I don't think we ever will.
Actually, that's inaccurate, report.
What's that?
That's actually inaccurate. It has happened once,
What, destroying,
not destroying, but impounding.
oh, no, but I meant, the next step is taking them and destroying the dog. I mean, we say we've never done that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I had livestock destroyed by a dog, and the dog was never destroyed.
Wow.
It was, you know,
Yeah.
just, so, select board many years ago.
Yeah, it's a
Don't
tough one.
forget to
Yeah.
motion or some
No,
consensus or something.
I'm waiting for them back sometime.
What does it mean to impound the dog, and is there a fee associated with impounding?
I generally take the animal to the Humane Society,
Mhm.
because then they have to pay to get it back.
Okay,
And they have to show that the animal is licensed.
okay, so there's no, that's great.
But there's no fee that comes to the town to pay the town back for your time and effort, which is annoying. And I think, but anyway,
Oh, you mean a fee for?
well, for his
for late-
time,
well, it costs more to license your dog if you're late. Isn't that true?
It's a few dollars, not
Yeah,
much.
it's just a few dollars.
Yeah.
I believe it was waived because of COVID the last 2 years.
Okay, so, do we have a motion then, hold on, to issue, for the issuance of a warrant to impound unlicensed dogs or wolf hybrids? Okay, moved by Curtis, is there a second?
No, I'll second it.
Gordon seconds?
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Curtis, do you want to weigh in on this? No?
Nope, sounds good. There's been a lot of chatter on the listserv recently, so, you know, being proactive sounds good.
Okay. No discussion, and everybody's in favor, I believe. Phil?
Mary, you said, what was your first word of your motion, issue? to-
Issuance of warrant.
Issuance.
Warrant. It's on the agenda, so,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
All right, motion passed, and now we are on to, well, I have to go back to number 2, adjustments to the agenda. I skipped right over that inadvertently. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Good, let's keep going. Manager's notes. Dave has the floor.
I'm just chuckling at that voice, that's all.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
It's funny.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, it's not on your printed, town manager update that you received in your packet, but, COVID-19 is just working in the shadows here. It just won't go away. I believe today up in Chittenden County and the surrounding area, they do have an outbreak. The outbreak is significant enough to kick in the CDC guidelines that masking and social distancing indoors, I believe, is now required in those 2 counties. So I have been half jokingly, but certainly half serious, the staff that to be mentally prepared as we round into the fall here. We just don't know. But I did spend more time than one probably should, watching some of the news in between the Olympics this weekend, and if I'm reading between the lines from the CDC and others, the discussion surrounding masks is increased and continually becomes to the forefront, whether you're vaccinated or not. I'm hoping we continue as we are. Mon is heavily vaccinated, and that's a good thing. So it'll just be interesting to see what happens, and I think that this is something that we're gonna continue to need to watch. The numbers that we have right now this summer, I believe, are actually higher than last summer at this point. So that's kind of telling. But again, I think the crucial time will be, come Halloween, and to see what happens when the cold kicks in, and if this variant is still kicking around.
Because we'll be inside, you mean? Is that?
We'll be inside, it'll be colder, hopefully, apparently vaccines are actually starting to pick up again due to the outbreak. Certainly politics is kind of in the middle of this. Florida's certainly kind of headlining that. But, again, they felt it pretty good about the Northeast and where we're at. And again, we're heavily vaccinated. But just know it just seems to not be going away, and it seems to be coming back a little bit fuller than certainly I was expecting anyways at this point. Again, fall maybe, but here we are, August 2nd, and it's picked up again. So I just say keep an eye out, and let's see what happens. Three Corners, VTEL has kind of gotten their stuff together, has submitted it to us. That's good for design-wise and final designs. The borings for the Three Corners intersection, that area has been dig-safed, so that just needs to happen at this point. Certainly coming in the next week or two. The rain and the never-ending rain, I almost don't want to say it. We have not had any significant problems. However, cumulatively, if we take our problem, what's going on out there, it's showing wear and tear. We are busting at the seams in certain places. We haven't been able to keep up with it, but we're actually holding up for the amount of rain that we've had. We're holding up okay. Hopefully it subsides here a little bit. I'll only say that those places that, with recent ditching is certainly holding up better than others. Places that don't have any ditching is certainly showing wear and tear. So I think that that's good for, the ditching aspect of what we've been doing. But it just seems like night after night, like last night, it just comes down substantially. And it's showing wear and tear, I think, is just the best way to explain it. CATV is due back potentially this week. There's been some discussion on this, as far as the Zoom hybrid, but they did invest in some equipment to do a hybrid meeting between Zoom and live. I would explain it as just that. We did Teams and Zoom for a year and a half. It worked fairly well, actually, by the time we were done with it. We are now meeting in person. There are people that do watch through YouTube or cable at this point. My understanding is the interactivity of that would work well for them. So it's simply opening up that communication, much like having Curtis here. That actually, he's on Teams now, so it would be a matter of having, maybe 10 faces on there instead of one. In this case, it would be Zoom, and the Zoom that we were using, in order to speak, you had to raise your hand. You had to be, allowed to speak. They had to be unmuted. So, there is a process. CATV would let us know when someone wanted to speak. So they can't just shout out, but, it's like having somebody in the audience, but, through a monitor.
Dave, has
So-
there been any discussion of either CATV or our responsibility as far as supplying a monitor so we can see Curtis or whoever is,
Yeah, so I think we'll need to purchase a TV screen or monitor, but I believe they have invested in essentially the rest of the equipment.
okay.
So what is that, a couple $100?
I think it was a few thousand.
What,
For TV?
what do you mean, for the cables?
Oh, for the TV?
No, for the TV.
The TV, yeah,
Monitor.
a couple $100.
Yeah, yeah.
TVs,
Move the decimal point, Mary.
I haven't bought a TV in a while.
no, the TV's the fairly minimal component to the cameras and the box over there that they've got over there.
But that's their
That's theirs,
investment,
yeah.
so our investment is a couple $100.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
That's good to know.
Wow, how about that? Buildings and grounds, we've been spending some time over at the rec center, on the exterior in particular, actually on the interior and the exterior. We did do some power washing over there on the aluminum siding in the back and along the front, cleaning some of the windows there. Not sure when the last time that was done, but did take some of the paint chips off, but it did, the amount of dirt that was on there was pretty high. He will make his way to do the windows, the exterior windows here as well. But we have been moving forward and making an effort on that.
Dave, is that paint chips you're talking about, they get collected? Do they get caught?
Those, I haven't seen any on the ground, but I can't answer that.
Because surely it's lead paint.
What's that?
Surely there's lead paint.
The one would need to pick that up, correct?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Actually, I don't, potentially, but I believe that what's over there is fairly new. But,
I know,
Yeah,
you're
they're-
chipping off paint that's layers and layers and you're getting down
I hear you.
to, down to old paint, that's what I'm saying.
I agree. Met with Kim Gibbs regarding the block party over in North Hartland. We spoke about a few things that she's gonna need to take into consideration. This basically follows our use policy that we have now for Damon Hall and the rec center and the rec center fields. Similar process. She does need to get event insurance. She's on vacation at the moment. She's gonna get back to me at the end of, when she comes back from vacation. She's concerned that, perhaps that may push the event outside of her, expense level. So we'll have to wait and see as to whether this comes to fruition, but, there's some things to consider here. Certainly the numbers of people that are gonna be involved, parking and, other things. But the event insurance is something that someone renting Damon Hall or the rec center, needs to get. It is made available, it's made available through VLCT as the TULIP insurance. So that's just wanted to give you an update on that. She's been, here, she's been fairly communicative about it, and, at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing for North Heartland, but just wanted to let you know that, something of, you don't really know whether it be, 30 or 250, so, just some things that I spoke to her, wanted to let you know that conversation occurred, and some of the things that, from a town's perspective, we would need to take into consideration. She seemed certainly understanding of, things that we spoke about, but did say that perhaps with the insurance, that might be, too much for her individually to take on, so whether, they could spread that out or not, I'm not sure.
Curtis, are you gonna help out with that effort?
I'm at least gonna be cooking some hot dogs and hamburgers. That might make back some of the money.
Okay.
So think the hope is to do at least hot dogs and hamburgers, who knows, maybe like a 50-50 raffle or something as well.
Yeah, but how about paying for insurance?
What?
Paying for insurance, that's the big thing.
Yeah, the hope is that by doing that, we'll be able to pay for the insurance.
Oh, I see, okay, that'd be good.
So I just wanna,
As long as you're looking at me, I know Dave's about done with his manager notes, and also my computer's about to die.
Oh, okay.
it's almost done.
His computer's about to die.
Okay, I'll try and hurry it up here, Curtis. So I just also want to put a reminder, we spoke about the fencing around the North Hartland basketball courts, that's still on target. If we need to pull the money out of the account that we put it in, that's what it's there for. I would just recommend we wait and see what happens with the budget. If we need to pull it over, then we'll do it then. For some reason, we end up well in the budget, then we can leave it there for the walking path and we also put that money away for.
Wait, I didn't understand what you just said. So, we have the money for the fencing.
Yep, it's in a reserve account at the moment.
Okay, so why wouldn't we just leave it there for the fencing until the fence company can do it?
It's kind of what I'm saying, but then I would say wait even longer, see how we end up with the budget. If we end up on the surplus side, then we don't need to pull as much out, or maybe none at all. And if we end up in the deficit side, then we have to pull it all out over and cover it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's something you're anticipating now because of just that it's always a possibility, or you're foreseeing that for some other reason, like you think, oh, there's going to be a deficit.
I'm just saying we'll wait till June to make the transfer, that's all. We may not need to make, so I will be a little more positive, and look at this as glass half full. You know, we could end up on the surplus side, like we did this year, and then we don't need to pull the money over for the fencing. And then all the money that we put in there, because it was for fencing and or walking path, we'll just leave the money in there for the walking path completely.
When is this fencing going to happen?
Well, you know, just about anybody you try and get to do work these days is really tied up. So we were hoping it was done in, June. Before we transferred into the new year, we transferred into the new year, I'll be happy if it happens before the end of October, to be honest with you.
Is this Springfield Fence Company?
It is.
Yeah, okay. I think I asked you that.
Yeah.
Before the snow comes.
One of
Yeah,
the snowmobilers get out there. I think the last time we spoke, it was like 9,300, the price is actually 8,500, and it's actually, it's higher also behind the hoops on both sides. So it's like double fencing, so the ball doesn't bounce.
oh, that's great.
And stuff, so.
Wow.
Kevin O'Toole,
Yeah, that's a disappointment.
I will give him a shake again this week. So, I looked and came up with an alternative last year, and I got I can do it. Let's wait, at this point, because it was late summer, we got COVID, reared its head, not a great time. I can come around in the spring and summer, all will be well, and we're having difficulties again this year. The only problem is if we go to somebody else, we kind of need to start some of the letters again, which sets us back. So I would really like to see Kevin see this through. But I think it's probably time to move on from Kevin at this point. Just because. But, so we'll keep an eye on that. I would really like to see him come because the 8 to 10 that we have left could use it. So I'd like to keep that going.
So what are we down to? Do you know, Martin?
How much?
Yeah.
102 for this current year, 137 total.
Oh, okay, so we're still at that. Thank you.
It's actually a really good number for us.
I know, it's amazing.
That's a very good number for us,
Yeah.
particularly at this point. You still have a month to pull, you know, that into prior year fiscal year, but, you know, that's just 130 at this point is just good for us. There's still a few out there that, really need to come in, but overall, as to where we're usually at, that's just good.
Curtis, what are you shaking your head for?
Oh, just about the lawyer.
Okay, but you're okay with the tax sale?
Oh yeah, I'm just a little bummed that, not only that, you know, we were told we were gonna get it done this year, but also we were told it would be in 2 weeks ago and last week, and neither of those happened. Like, just unfortunate.
Yeah.
Right, and he's done a good job for the town in the past, which is why I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt, but at some point,
Apparently you asked the secretary, you
Yeah.
know, but at this point, if he's going to tell me something, what I would like to, you know, give me a realistic date or stick to the date, really is what,
right,
is what I'm looking for at this point.
Yeah.
You know, don't give me a false, you know, don't tell me up next week just to get me off the phone. You know, if it's gotta be, you know, third week in August at this point, but it's a legitimate date, then fine, I can live with that, but don't just, you know, don't tell me a date and then have it come and go, you know, because that just creates more problems actually for the whole thing, so. Back to the ordinance administrator, so we do have, a very good candidate, will be visiting us on Thursday. I will, meet with him, take him around the town, and show him, a bit of what the position will entail, have the person meet, some of the key staff. So that is, moving along, moving forward. I think this is a, quality candidate, and, you know, I hope that it comes to fruition. Last thing I'll just say is, I don't wanna do a revamp, but we're gonna need to amend, we'll need to do a revamp at another time, but, there's some simple things to the employee manual that we need to amend. One, and I've spoken about this for maybe 3.5 years since I've been here. It comes up a lot when we talk insurance. We have, there is short-term disability and long-term disability.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the reason, but I'm still not, I still shake my head a little bit. We carry a long-term disability, which kicks in after 24, 23 weeks? 26 weeks, after the injury. So, the short-term disability kicks in like 6 days after the accident and will carry you for 26, and then, you know, it usually falls to, you know, disability or something to that effect. But, you know, the benefit, almost 100% of accidents, you need the coverage for the first 26 weeks, rather than after that. So, I had Martin look into, switching from long-term to short-term disability is actually a little bit cheaper for us, but that's really not the reason we're looking to do this. We're looking to do it because I think it's the best thing for the employee, and the best thing for our package. So, however, it needs to coincide with the employee manual because the employee manual says we cover long-term insurance, so I think it should match. And then there's another small thing that kind of came up in the spring is we have a new federal holiday. So our employee manual, lists all the federal holidays that we receive. They passed the Juneteenth federal holiday back in June, which I think is June 19th, the Juneteenth holiday. And the select board should officially, decide whether the employees are to receive the Juneteenth day off or not. It literally passed at like 5:30 at night the day before. We did not take it this year, just simply because, you know, I'll keep my political comments by some. The timing of it was very difficult for people to react, to actually give it off. So we didn't give it off, but it is now a federal holiday, so you should determine as to whether that should be a part of the list. So looking to make those two changes, amendments. We may also want to look at vacation for the first year. Right now, no employee should be getting a vacation according to the manual in the first year. However, you accumulate, or the better word is you accrue sick days in your first year. I believe the intent, in the way it's written, is the vacations were meant to accrue in the first year, but it actually is written that it's supposed to start after you've been here for a year. So I think the accrual is the proper way to go. You get X amount of time, so after 6 months, you don't get the full 2 weeks, but you get, 5 out of the 10 days. Therefore, if something comes up, it's available to you. After a year, if you haven't done anything, you've accrued 10 days, which is essentially what the employee manual says you get after a year. So it kind of makes sense, just gives employee a little bit more flexibility. You still wouldn't get anything in the first 3 months because there's a probationary period there. But I think that, a lot of places don't like to give it, I don't wanna give a day off, the guy's only been here 4 months, but, things do come up. They do accrue sick days. I think that the common sense thing is you can accrue a vacation day. At the end of the year, if you have taken none, then you have accrued 10 vacation days, which is what you get,
In the second year.
Day one of, the beginning of your second year, you got 10 days to use. So I think it just needs to be tweaked, but I think that that's probably more beneficial, and I think that, may even been, discussed back when I got hired, but, those 3 things I don't wanna get in and do a full-blown makeup of the employee manual at this point, but, certainly think those 3 things could be tweaked, and between now and December 31st, I would like to try and work with Mark and get that to you and just make those 3 changes.
So, I have a quick question for Martin, maybe. If we're switching from long-term to short-term disability, what is what's the person going to do if they are disabled for the long term?
Well, as David said, you either go look for disability, or, I don't know what other, depending on the.
If you're disabled long-term, then, if you're disabled, there's a disability that generally kicks in.
So it's a federal program, it switches to the.
You're gonna switch to a federal and state,
Okay.
or something else. Now, the other thing I'll say is, long-term disability is not, forever either.
Oh, no.
There's an end point, so, you can go 26 weeks and you're out 30. So you've gone 26 without a meal, and then you get 3 weeks of disability, and then, it's just.
The long term might be for a year, something like that. I don't know what the policy is now.
Right,
I'm guessing it would be for a year after you've waited.
after you wait 26 weeks.
Waited 26 weeks. Would it be possible for, that would be an option that people could pay, employees could pay for themselves?
I can look into that. I don't see why it couldn't be a problem.
Possibility.
Right, yeah, like Aflac, the employees pay for the Aflac plan, the town does not pay for that. But I can reach out to Madison and ask them if they can do that.
Just to clarify my interpretation of what Gordon is saying is, could we have a default long-term and then an option to have a pay-for option? I don't wanna have a complex cafeteria style sort of, set of benefits, but,
I don't wanna be a Grinch. I'll just say that, the 24 or the 26 weeks is, for municipality, or governmental is fairly common. I've worked for companies, private business, that
Well, I
they
think,
don't get the disability.
I agree that it makes a lot of sense to switch from one to the other,
Absolutely.
but I just don't know if it's 100% a good idea to drop the long term. That's my big one. But I don't know if the town wants to pay for both, so,
Right. That doesn't make sense for the town to pay for both, but we can find out if long-term can be paid by the employee if they choose to keep
you
the
know,
long-term with the short-term.
I think I had both at work, short and, you don't think so? No?
You might have life insurance and short-term
I'd be
disability.
surprised.
That's a common,
Is it?
I'd be a little surprised, that's pretty
Okay.
good.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I think this switch is a great idea, so, but I am concerned about,
we lost Curtis.
yeah, we lost Curtis. I am concerned about, no long-term disability. Could they go to workman's comp, is that,
It's usually Medicaid and, other programs that kick in.
but
for
there,
someone
so
that-
there is
There's
something.
something, there is a safety net, yes. So if someone is, physically impaired, the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
It's not gonna be that good though.
Scary to contemplate. So, Dave, what do you think? Anything else?
So that is it. I will tell Martin to look into long-term disability as well as short-term disability.
Yeah, so I had three things. You're going to clarify the long-term, short-term, the new federal holiday policy, and clarify the accrual of vacation time. In the
Well, so
manual.
yeah, so that'll be, so we need to, correct, so we can bring up the long-term thing. So between now and December 31st, I hope to bring this subject back to you,
Okay.
for those three topics, in particular.
Right.
Now, there's a whole lot, to be honest, the employee manual is kind of a beast. There's a lot to be, tweaked in that thing, but I think that needs greater scrutiny at a different time, but I think that these three things, the two things in particular, but I think while we're doing the vacation day thing can be tweaked as well, so those three things, I think.
Well, let me ask a question about this vacation day thing. If a person comes to work, let's say, beginning of June, or 1st of July, let's say, make it simple, and come around, he's been here a whole year, or she, you, and in August, this person wants to take a vacation, it's not conceivable that they have not been accumulating those days, otherwise they wouldn't even be able to take a vacation on that second year of employment.
So you've been here, so you hired me July 1st.
Yep.
July 1st of the following year, I've got 10 days of time to use.
I know, but you seem to have some question of whether they're actually accumulating or not, according to the policy.
So, big difference, so bear with me for a second, okay? So, I've gotta be here a year before I can use one of those 10 days.
Yeah, that's understandable.
What I'm accustomed to seeing and how our sick days work, so regardless, you have a probationary period of 3 months before the benefits kick in. If you finish 4 months, you have 4 sick days to use. Okay? So theoretically, if you finish 4 months, there's 4 vacation days in there to use. Actually didn't get that right because it's not 1 day. So it's not quite 1 day to 1 month. For vacation time, it's a little bit less. For sick days, you accumulate 12 in a year, so it's 1 sick day per month. The vacation day, it's a little less, it's like a 0.75 because it's only 10 days for a 12-month period. So you can't take a vacation day until you've been here a full year. When I look at this employee manual as a whole, including the sick days and the other benefits, I'm of the impression that it's meant to accumulate, so that after 7 months, there's like 4 days in there that, of vacation time that you'd be eligible for.
But you can't take them until you've been here a year.
I'm proposing that you can take them.
I got you.
Right now, you cannot.
Yeah. Okay.
If you don't take any, if you're here a year and you don't take any, at the end of the 12-month period, you still end up with 10 vacation days. If you happen to take some between month 3 and month 12, then come the first of the year, you know, you've used
Yeah.
X amount,
You can't take a vacation day unless it has been accumulated, is that correct?
correct?
You can't say, well, I'm gonna get it.
No?
There's no borrowing on that bank. Okay, well, we're gonna discuss this later, right?
This is to come, this is
Yeah,
to
so
come,
we don't need to
but,
get-
I think that that's,
get
those
too far
three
into the
things, I
weeds
think,
here.
in there
Yeah.
need to be kind of tweaked.
Dave, any insights as to what, when the future agenda items are going to come around?
So I did, actually, at the top of my list, I had ARPA written here in pencil for things that are not on here. So the Treasury still has not come out with their final guidance, and that is starting to make some noise at the federal level. What the Vermont delegation did come out and say, being Leahy and Sanders, is that the county money is going to go to the towns. So that's been back and forth. You know, it started out as, yep, it's coming, and then no, it didn't. Now supposedly it's coming back to us.
Does our delegation have the power to do that?
They supposedly are somewhat in the know with the Treasury and Janet Yellen, and they have held a press conference even saying that the county money is coming to the towns.
When was that? That press conference? Was it
Last
recent?
Friday,
Oh,
or
really?
I
something
think
silly.
the issue is that our system is quite different in New
Yeah.
England. Our system is way different in New England than it is most of the rest of the country.
No, I understand that, but I just didn't know if Leahy and Sanders and, you know, themselves have the power to sort of
Probably
change
not.
this.
No.
It's still kind of a, it's still really, you know, we need to see the, you know, the final language here. You know, I think that there's some things that are, you know, known, but again, you know, we spoke 4 or 5 weeks ago, maybe at this point, 2 or 3 meetings ago, when we requested the money. Ironically, we have still not yet received the money.
The 350K.
Yet, we still have not received it. I thought the state had the money back in June. Apparently, they didn't receive it until July 22nd. So, again, according to what's in writing, they have 30 days to then give it to the towns. You know, I just hear in a couple of weeks, and it still hasn't arrived. So, we are kind of anticipating what's going to come and when. I would expect by Labor Day, we'll get something from the Treasury.
Then when I got something from that Sarah Raitt,
Yeah.
and so I think she said, I don't know if she was talking about the, because I didn't read it closely, about town money or the county money, that we should just sit on it. We shouldn't start spending it, right? Until we
Just-
get the final.
Just kind of, we're all kind of waiting to, you know, take your time with this. I think the wording was don't spend it,
Yeah.
until this gets finalized. And, so, you know, I think that the only real black and white thing here is if you lost money, you know, there's, you know, you can make up your losses with this, you know, money. The strings are a little less, certainly less, if you know, that fills the void of money lost So that's the ARPA. We're all kind of, and I've been in communication with other town managers, regional planning commission folks, you know, trying to get hold of VLCT folks, and, you know, the word is still, you know, we're waiting to see.
Okay, good.
The energy thing, I think Sarah Bruce did not want to do it today, but in September she starts teaching a class, so I think that you will probably see the Energy Committee in the EAN next meeting. And the Lebanon landfill agreement went from the sky is falling and you've got to sign this today to to some back and forth with lawyers, you know, not only with the Greater Upper Valley Solid Waste District, but with the town of Hanover and a couple other places.
Wait, Hanover or Hartford?
Hanover also had a few issues. Hanover is serviced by Lebanon.
So they don't like the agreement?
Oh, there was pieces that they didn't like.
Okay.
Hartford is a part of it, so, as far as, you know, the Vermont side, you know, it's essentially Greater Upper Valley and, you know, maybe I don't know what Hartford's doing these days, but I'm sure they've got an issue in there somewhere. So that is, on a wait and see, but again, I think when that comes down, you know, liability is still a question with myself and Tom and the towns, but if, as it's, last I knew, as it sat, if we would like residents to use the Lebanon landfill and commercial businesses of which use it, we need to sign this agreement. And if, you know, with that may come duties of the town clerk to assist residents with a permit system that Lebanon has put in place, that the town of Lebanon will not do for people outside of their town, city. So we would be responsible for that, or you can opt out of that altogether, but if you opt out, then your resident, if they aren't computer savvy or can't use the computer, will have a very hard time getting a permit for the Lebanon landfill. So I think that's kind of the long and the short of it.
So is this a task that maybe the building ordinance person could do instead of the town clerk?
No, I like the town clerk doing it.
Maybe he doesn't.
Give that guy something to do.
All right, you know who it's gonna.
It's kind of written for the town clerk if, you know, I almost think it's more of a dog license thing. So I actually don't have an issue with the clerk doing it, rather than I've got it, you know, I could see maybe where I've got a new property in town, I'm moving to town, comes to see the building administrator and says, you know, I need an access permit, you know, I'm doing this, and, you know, I really need to dispose of an old refrigerator or something, or whatever, you know, some C&D, or, you know, 28 bags of cargo, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to go to Lebanon, then I think that, you know, it may fall into the administration realm, but, I'm not entirely sure who uses it and, you know, what that looks like, so at the moment, I almost think it belongs in the front office,
Okay.
kind of with the stickers and the dog license. I just happen to think at the moment that there may be some more space over at the clerk's office than the finance office, so. But
Okay.
we'll see.
Do you have anything?
Dave, do you have a start date for Four Corners?
The last I heard, James, was after Labor Day, in September, the month of September. Right after, either mobilizing, I can't remember what the date is of Labor Day. You know, it's late in the week, and, you know, but I think it was like the first week in September. So if the first Monday is early in that week, then I would suspect that at some point after Labor Day. There will be 24-hour presence on Mace Hill and
Hours.
Bowers.
Everybody good? Good. So it's like 7:00, I think. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, I can move that one.
Okay, Gordon moves to adjourn. And I don't think we even need a second to adjourn, do
I
we?
don't think so.
No, I think we just adjourn and call it a day.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
That's the draft, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you're taking